Davening takeaway, Torah Ohr, Dav Sameches. The mimer on this page, which actually begins on the end of the previous page, we find that there's a discussion of names of Hashem. And describing that, the Alter Rebbe describes names as being the spreading out of life force and drawing down of Hashem's midos into reality. And the way it's quoted here is describing the Hashem's midos is L'cha Hashem Hagadula Hagivur V'Hatiferos V'Goymer, etc. This fascinatingly is found in Davening in the second part of Pesukei Zimra. This is found after the first part, which is the 6 Halalukas, starting with Ashrei, and the Yehi Chavod that preceded it, which represents the 6 midos plus Malchus. We see then that in the second part, in the Davening, we also have that expression as is quoted in Torah Ohr, L'cha Hashem Hagadula V'Hagivur V'Hatiferos V'Hanetzek V'Hahed Ki Kel Shamayim V'Aretz L'cha Hashem Hamamlocha Hamisnase L'chel Reish. And so we see that there's a description of those 6 midos plus Malchus there. And in the Davening, we have, again, the idea of the ladder of the Davening going from below up. So that's mimata lamaila, going from below to above. And so in that sense, we start out with a realization of Hashem's midos, Hashem's characteristics as they are firm midos. There's chesed, kindness, gevura, more strength and severity, etc. And those are talked about as specific items, holy things that we are tuning into. When we move to the second part, moving up to a higher level, no longer do they have the same kind of independent existence, shall we call it. It becomes more bottled to the light of Hashem. And that's why it's known as L'cha Hashem. To you, there are these things, not that you are these things, but it's to you. It's in some ways we can say secondary, not really, but it's sort of parts of that sort of are included in the deeper aspect of who Hashem is, and so it doesn't take prominence as it were as individual or independent almost types of things. That's going from below to above. As we're going to higher and higher levels of godliness, those midos don't take on such prominence. But in the mimer, it takes it the other direction. It starts from Hashem and explains that how these midos come about in the aspect of even L'cha Hashem. We see that that's through the aspect of name. And we've discussed in the previous ones the idea of a name, the name being just a glint of light or ha'ara, sort of a reflection. And so we see that those, from that kind of aspect, these midos come about. And from that, we understand that Hashem is much greater to the point of not even having a comparison with that. So the mimer is coming from above to below. In the Davening, we talk about it from below to above in general. But interesting thing to think about possibly, because as we are climbing the ladder, we are gaining a greater appreciation of godliness. And so in that sense, we are reaching up to more of Hashem, who Hashem is. And so in that sense, from that perspective, the midos now take on less of a significance, which is really from above to below kind of perspective. The mimer goes on and talks about in detail the idea of two ways of looking at things, from Hashem's perspective down, where Hashem is the true existence, and then everything below it is less of an existence, and then the aspect of going from below to above, called Yichudei Tata, where that is where the bottom, our perception living in this world, is more of the reality of the existence, and as we go higher and higher, it becomes less and less so, to the point where Hashem, as it were, is nothing in our perspective of from below to above. It's beyond our understanding. And so interestingly, as we move up the ladder of davening, we have both of these dynamics going on simultaneously in somewhat. We start down from below and move upwards with the realization that we're getting closer to Hashem. And so from that above to below sense, we are gaining more and more of appreciation of Hashem, who Hashem is. And so therefore, that which previously seemed to be an existence takes on less of an existence. And so as we're moving up, it becomes L'cho Hashem, Hagedula v'Hagevura, etc., that these midos take on a different type of aspect. And so even though we're going from below to above, we are getting an appreciation from an above to below type of aspect too. And in some ways that fuses the two.